In Portugal, there's a YouTube show full of fun facts you need to know. Carl rings the bell and a member show to the GuMPing morning show.
Olá Bom Dia ALEGRIA, Munson here with the Good Morning Portugal show, live stream and podcast. Jackie, if Carl had a late night session with Frank, we'll see him Monday. No, I'm here. 5 live streams yesterday. Yes, the morning show, then the moment with Mrs. M. We spoke to Nuno about ecstatic dance, actually. Really great to chat with him. You know him as an insurance guy, very possibly. Corporate insurance, a very steady, stable profession and industry. And in his private life, as a man, as a lovely man, anyone who knows Nuno will know he's a great guy. He has been exploring ecstatic dance, and he told us all about it yesterday at lunchtime at midday in our midday 30-minute show for New Reality TV. Then the Expats Portugal webinar with Philomena last night. Superb. Again, Philomena's brilliant every Thursday evening, language and culture. And she was telling us about cafe culture, dining out, and the great tipping debate, of course, here in Portugal, whether to tip or not. Yes, basically, tip. Go ahead, show your appreciation there when you're dining out. Yes, some great vocabulary, some great insight into food, into coffee, desserts. Yeah, really nice discussion. The town hall session where I share some news items, the most, I suppose, nationally important news shared last night, as well as chocolate and sustainability. Government set to fall after PM calls confidence vote, and it would appear the consensus led by the expert insight of Daniel Reis was the government will fall and there will be an election in Portugal in May. Just exactly what we need. And apparently that is 3 out of the 4 possible elections that Portugal can have will be had now this year. A national election, a local election, and a presidential election. The only election that's not happening, as I giggled with Daniel, was an EU election, electing the EU representatives from Portugal. However, if the UK suddenly rejoin the EU, because anything could happen right now, could it not? There may be some, there's the gathering. You saw Antonio Costa, the former Prime Minister of Portugal, is he the president of the EU at the moment? He has a job over there. He left under a cloud in Portugal, and presumably this PM might do the same thing. You're okay. Here's the formula. If you perform somewhat suspiciously and the burden becomes too great, and you use that politician exit of like, there's too much noise around me, it's untenable, I need to step out of the way and let somebody else do this just to clear the air, I'll go and have a job in the EU instead. Maybe that's where Luis Montenegro will go as well. But if the European, the current EU allies are able to get the UK back in to form some sort of, I don't know, nuclear-based army to take on Russia and whiz Keir Starmer back in the UK, then maybe we'll have an EU election here in Portugal as well, and they'll have all 4 elections in a 12-month period. But that's what's happening in Portugal. In case you didn't know, it's quite easy not to know, isn't it, when you're new to Portugal and you're not entirely sure what's going on in the news. But that would be the consensus and the cynicism, I have to say. It wasn't like, whoopee, we're clearing the air with another election. It was like, oh, God, this again, really? And it doesn't. As I say in my current Portugal resident piece, this system, and I don't just mean Portugal's, I mean the way these Western democracies are run in this centralized and outdated way, are not fit for purpose, and you couldn't want for a better example how they're not and how disruptive and ineffective it is. I mean, can I just, bit of a rant this morning, right? Can I just remind everybody that the purpose of a government is to serve the people? I don't know if anyone said that recently with all the political furore and what's been going on around the world. But as I understand it, politicians are meant to work for people, not necessarily meant to be working in their or feathering their own nest, but actually they're public servants, I understand. That's how it's intended. And silly me, right? naivete, I think you Americans might call it. But yeah, they perhaps need a strong reminder, do they not, that they work for us, the citizens, because it's what we pay our taxes for. It's a social contract and all that. And it doesn't seem to be working terribly well anywhere that I'm aware of at the moment. Not very representative. We've got AI. We've got all this incredible technology. We've got the blockchain. We've got really good ways of making our feelings felt, if you like. And of course, maybe that's the problem. There are too many feelings in politics, and there's not enough logic and rationality in the business. And it is a business, of course. But anyway, I suspect something of a meta nature will be taking place soon. Ooh, I also write about that in the Portugal Resident, that will render a lot of this quite inconsequential in the long term. And these are just the death throes of the current system that we use. Ooh, that's a Friday feel-good start to the show.
Friday.
It's a Friday feeling. I'm a feeling Friday. Woo, woo, woo. Oh, woo, woo. We come back to more cheerful news in just a moment, because if you saw the opening sequence there, Good Morning Portugal is 5 on Monday. Well, that's the anniversary of our first official pandemic broadcast. That was a time, wasn't it, when we learned a little bit about government. Anyway, the 10th of March was when I launched I think it was daily, but it was certainly the information service that began for foreigners, for expats, so they can understand what was going on in Portugal during the pandemic and the lockdown measures and so on. So, celebrating 5 years. The podcast is older, of course. Excuse me. The voice can come under a little bit of pressure doing 5 live streams in one day, which I did yesterday. Did I get to the end of that? I didn't, did I? We had Philomena, we had the Q&A, the Dream Team Town Hall, and then I spoke to Frank and Jackie, already a fan of the Frank. So I think we'll do it again, but he's going touring, Jackie. So we'll do our best so that you can admire him once again on a regular basis on the screen. But yeah, 5 years old for the Good Morning Portugal show of celebrating on the 10th of March. And today, very special, at 9 o'clock, we are joining forces with Michael Heron. Heronius Maximus will be here at around 9, and we will be doing our first Bom Dia Iberia joint venture, Good Morning Portugal, Good Morning Espana, with Michael Heron. And in the meantime, Savvy Cat Ana, I'm sure she's had a lot of calls as well just recently, helping people migrate and move to Portugal. Come to some of your comments, and we'll have a look at the news pages more generally to get a sense of what's going on here in Portugal, and maybe, yes, the influence of world news at the moment. Bom dia, Carl, says Jackie, and a huge thank you for last night's show. I tuned in, and I couldn't believe I was on GuMPing. Frank is a diamond. I was crying, laughing. He's so funny. Thank you. Can't wait for the next show. Did you especially like his answer? And this is what we want. We want more questions like this for Frank to answer. And this one was, hello, hope it's okay to ask it. And this was a screenshot from the internet. And the question was, if I take your comment out of the way for a moment there, Jackie, what's the equivalent of spray and cook here in Portugal, and where can I find it? He's not a big fan of the spray oil. He's saying just don't, basically. Get a stick of butter or use some olive oil and leave that woke fat, I think was the name that came up for that particular brand. Leave it where it belongs. I think in the bin is what he was suggesting. It's just another one of those health propaganda things, the spray oil. Or just get some olive oil and a brush, a pastry brush, right? He wasn't at all keen on that particular product being in the kitchen. Squirty cream belongs in the bedroom, and squirty oil belongs in the bin, I think was basically the conclusion that was reached. Bon dia, GuMPers, then give the like button a little smoochy and watch as the clouds disappear. Is that what we've been not doing? As you'll see when I look at the weather among the news items on both the Portugal Resident and the Portugal News, guess what? More rain to come, storm warnings, flood warnings even, and still the reservoirs aren't full. Coming back to politics and politicians and public service. Anyway, Carl, Calm down. Bom dia, Jackie. Carl, e a todos feliz sexta. A little warmer for you overnight, Jackie, I'm guessing, on the boat. No frost here, which is good, as we have the builder in to do some maintenance. Even in a newly rebuilt house, there's always something that needs doing. It's true, isn't it? It's worth bearing that in mind when you move to Portugal and you're thinking, it's great, I'll get a new house because nothing will need doing to it. I think what Coach is reminding us of there is there's always something. Bom fim de semana, says Coach Turner. And Bom dia, Ian. It's getting warmer here. At last. I'm feeling a rise in the temperature. That's for sure, isn't it? It's always good to finish that sentence. I'm feeling a rise in the temperature. So getting a boat ready to sail now and then join you all. Fantastic. Yeah, and I am here. Didn't have a late night sesh. Just had a quick chat with Frank. I was a bit tired, and I'll give you another reason why I was a bit tired last night. Just a moment. Fantastic viewing in Lorinha. Thank you, Dorta from the agency. Great to see you, Carl Hyde, and to meet the boss, Irish, as well. He's quite a character, isn't he? Bon dia, Gumpers. Nice to have a quick chat with you yesterday, Mike. And Pam's here. Bon dia. João Ernesto do Norte. Or if I guess some people might call you João Ernesto do Norte, Norte, João. Bom dia, Alegria, Portugal. And James, how is it going for you? We'll find out more on Monday. Bom dia, Campos, feliz sexta a todos, como va? It's as if he's never moved, isn't it? Just that same greeting. And he's got the same picture, but he has moved. Is he telling us more? Yes, I am now officially residing in Espinho. Second full day trying to work out my new morning routine. So this morning I'm off to get groceries and I'll follow GMP on my phone. Cheers, James. Send us a picky if you don't mind, because you are going to be walking near the sea. You're on the seafront there, aren't you? When you go down to get your bits and pieces. So how about a nice picture? Certainly we'll see some, I would have thought, on Monday. See you then. Taxes time, USA in our house, deep in the weeds. This go round with more complexity than usual. Oh, sorry to hear that. Portuguese wine can help. A time for a wholesale change to our societal structures. Now we're talking including governors. She's with me on this. Thank you. I was ranting a bit about this, but really, come on. It's bizarre, is it not? For those interested or with questions, we are under the NHR regime and always file US first, then file Portugal. Thank you for that insight there, João Ernesto. This weekend marks 10 years since I left the UK to live in Portugal, so qualifying possibly for the NHR there, and the end of it after 10 years, maybe. We initially said we'd give it a year and see how it went. Didn't like it then, eh, Pam? Pam and Tony, congratulations. 10 years since leaving the UK. Another lovely anniversary to celebrate. And friends, Tom and Toddy, it was a year ago, apparently, since I showed them Portugal. That's how Tom described it. Since I showed them Portugal. Lovely. I'm so glad to celebrate that 1 year anniversary with you as well. Isn't that amazing? Lots of lovely anniversaries around this time. 5 years, GMP. Carl, you've got to turn that convo about oil into a short. Okay. Right. It was a bit scattered. I'm not sure if it would. I don't think you can turn Frank into a short, can you? There's too much going on. Also, don't forget that if you're a US citizen and have any international bank account with a balance at any point during the year, you must file an FBAR, else you get in trouble. Oh dear. Yeah, but you do pay those taxes and get all that excellent value for money, right? Well, that's maybe a work in progress at the moment. That same weekend, are you happy? I should ask this more generally rather than putting you on the spot as well, Ernesto. Are people generally happy with the taxes that they pay? Can I get a little bit of a poll going this morning? Are you happy with your how your money's being spent? I'm guessing that the likes of Pam and others in Portugal might feel a sense of value from their tax dollar or tax euros here. I wonder how the UK people feel. I wonder how the US people feel. Especially, I suppose, if you don't even live in America anymore and you still have to keep filing for taxes. But that's the land of the free and the brave. You and Eritrea and North Korea, I think, are people who still have to file their taxes having left the country. That same weekend, Refood Alcabasa was inaugurated, so we're having a big party. Wow, party anniversaries all the way here. I have been volunteering there for 9 years. You got straight into that then, Pam. Fantastic. Refood there, wonderful. We need to get you back to talk about that wonderful organisation. Haven't seen you on our GMP screen for a while, Pam. Have a great weekend. Bon fim de semana. I hope you're having a nice celebration. It's also International Women's Day tomorrow, and my theatre group are doing a performance discussion in the library. Unfortunately, I can't be everywhere. Yeah, how lovely. Great weekend for you lined up, and priorities to make. Bon dia from Sarah Yerman as well. Right. Savvy Cat joining us in a few minutes. No point looking at the weather page. You can for yourself at goodmorningportugal.com. Just recently rejigged the homepage, goodmorningportugal.com. Let's have a look at the homepages of the Portugal news and the Portugal resident, shall we, this morning, as we celebrate 5 years. On Monday, this is official birthday anniversary, 5 on Monday, but we are inaugurating Good Morning Iberia, totally Iberian today, when Michael Heron joins us at 9 o'clock this morning. All right, we'll have a quick look at the Portugal resident first. On this particular morning, I think we're going to be fairly brief over here. And can you see this? We had some problems sharing screens yesterday. I hope you can see the Portugal resident. I'll talk you through it anyway. There's more actually to my interest, I have to say, even though I write for the resident. There's a few more things I want to talk about over on the Portugal news this morning, especially when the Portugal resident is leading with all mainland districts warned to brace for worsening weather. I've been in the brace position with worsening weather for about 3 months now. I'm not sure I can keep this up without constantly hurting my posture. Might need to see a chiropractor soon. So there you go. I don't want to read that apart from the first line. So you get the picture. Rain, hail, thunderstorms, high winds. They are all forecast with the Algarve, at least basking in sunshine. So get to the Algarve if you want some sun. Rest of the country, it looks like under weather warnings of various kind. Go to IPMA for that sort of information. IPMA, a grisly crime story. Electronic travel authorization. The ETAs are mandatory for EU travelers to the UK from April 2nd. So that's kicking into action finally. The ETA. The naval training ship sinks at Lisbon Naval Air Base. Whoops. That's when Portugal are pledging support for Ukraine as one of their ships sinks at the Lisbon Naval Base. Okay, right. An INEM story, the emergency services, and one story I could have led with, because I like a word play. Look who's stalking. Stork's nest removed for construction of Lidl supermarket now back in place. Well, thank goodness for that, and I hope they're rehomed and happy there. That's a nice, that's a typical supermarket unveiling story mixed up with a conservation story there, isn't it? A new Lidl supermarket, you say? And it's funny, isn't it, how whenever there's a new supermarket in Portugal, it tends to be a news headline for some reason. It's not like we haven't got a few supermarkets already, but anyway. That's nicely done. Maybe they're having to be a little bit more discerning about how they move supermarket openings into the news. So there was a little bit of controversy about moving a stork's nest, but it's now back in place. And that is no small undertaking, is it, to move a stork's nest? I hope no baby delivery services were interrupted in the process there. Business as usual. Last thing then here on the Portugal resident. Actually, no, a couple of things. Business as usual for PM in Brussels for emergency defense summits. Like apparently what he said, Daniel said, there was a point when Luis Montenegro said, look, I'm sick of your questions now. Let's just move on. I don't want to talk about this anymore. And these are the sort of corruption allegations. Daniel thought that maybe not quite the right approach. You pesky people, you pesky voters, asking me to explain myself. Just shut up. Stop it. I mean, really. And therefore, one might think, election likely between May the 11th and the 18th, says the president, who wasn't answering his phone to the prime minister just recently. We also learned. So there you go. May elections for Portugal, 1 of 3 in a 12-month period. Can you see that, I wonder? Okay, can't see that. So we have reported that bug to... oh, that's a shame. I hope you can see the video when I play it. Got a lovely video. It's like Club Tropicana, my video. Actually, I might look at a few news stories with Savvy Cat when she joins us. I think I need a palate cleanser and a change of mood here this morning. Pam, the sale of our house, UK house, is being completed soon, so I'll be liable for capital gains tax, which is a bit painful. Generally happy to pay tax, though. Yeah, the principle's okay. It's the amounts sometimes. If unfamiliar, report of foreign bank and financial accounts, FBAR, doesn't entail any dollars. It is just a notification to the Treasury, FinCEN, or of your international account details. Yeah, okay. Speaking of supermarkets, stop it, Pam! I believe Mercadona do a spray oil. All right, thank you. They probably do, don't they? These newfangled health indoctrination products. Okay. Well, at least they're not telling us to eat margarine anymore. I'm sure no self-respecting Portuguese people ate margarine, did they? I hope you didn't, Portuguese people. No! Thumbs up from Savvy Cat Ana in the background there. Butter and olive oil all the way here. And just lather it on as well. Wear it. Put it on your hair. Eat it as well. proper products. Right, okay. I want to play a little bit of a video, and then I think Anna might like this as well. This I suggested to. Oh, and we got a bit of carnival action as well. I'm going to do back to back on here. Then we'll talk to you, Anna. First, a carnival video that I forgot to share. Oh, this will lighten the mood, won't it? Carnival action. Thanks by Randy, who's now Andeiro up in Aveiro here. Aveiro carnival action. Ooh, that hit me root chakra. Thank you for that, Andy. That's superb. Sorry I didn't play that earlier this week. I think we've got Carnival behind us now, just onto the Festa season now, everybody. A wonderful video now, even if I say so myself. I found the stabilization button on my camera. My videos are a lot less dizzying now. Check this out. I was in Lorigna with Colin yesterday. Well, this looks all right, doesn't it? We're in Lorigna, which I think is an amazing location, and something's happening over in this part of Portugal. Obviously, we're at the high end here today, at the invitation of the agency. Look at this, a viewing of this fabulous property here. These are suites that you can stay at in this incredible location. I'll show you the view that they have in a moment. But isn't that beautiful? Very nice indeed. Barbecue area over there. And as I swing around here, that's looking out to sea now, over in that direction. And then look, they have this view. That's a yoga deck down there, possibly. And a valley here where you could install a vineyard. And I believe I'm going to pop down there in just a moment, but beyond this gentleman on the yoga deck here, there's a little gate, and that takes you down to the beachfront and the ocean, which is just beyond the trees over there. But isn't that lovely? Isn't that incredible? The rooms are really wonderful. They're all open out onto the pool here. Very, very nice. Oh, there's an upper deck up there as well. Thank you, the agency and Dorta, who invited us here today to take a look. But it's a little bit too cold today to jump in and cause a bit of a splash, as it were, here. Isn't that nice? Let's give her a nice round of applause. Savvy Cat Ana Caramujo. Did you like that, Anna?
Good morning. Yeah, I actually knew exactly where that video from Carnival was filmed. It's in Sexta. And I've parked there a lot of times before. There's a bakery nearby that I used to go a lot when I was living with my father on the village. Right. And butter being replaced by margarine is definitely a major pet peeve of mine.
Yeah, ridiculous, wasn't it? Yeah, a terrible thing to happen to humanity. I mean, imagine that, hydrogenating pieces of plastic and then spreading them on your. That would probably be the worst thing in Portuguese culture. Well, there are obviously worse things, but in culinary terms, can you imagine your torrada smothered in margarine? It's got to be.
I've been served that. I don't remember where, and I was very, very disappointed. Like, who does torrada with margarine?
Outrageous. You tell me if you ever see that. I will complain to the president if I see that sort of behavior in this country. Yeah. Hopefully that belongs in the bin and should stay there. Butter all the way. Maybe not olive oil in your torrada, but it certainly would be better than margarine. Talking of healthy things, how are you? I think you've been had one or two challenges. How's it going?
I think I won the genetic lottery, to be honest. So my gallbladder decided to make stones. So that's a pretty common thing, apparently. It's not fun. I really don't recommend it. And I was really happy that I was staying at my mom's place when the stones decided to move, because it is really a really, really terrible pain. Yes. And I don't even know if I would be able to call the ambulance, because I was just, focusing on breathing to control the pain.
Oh, no. Right.
And it was I just went down because it's a 2-floor house, and I just went down and started circling around, and my mother just panicked and called the ambulance. Because I was thinking if I was alone in my house in Caldas da Rainha, it would be a lot more complicated. So I'm really glad that I was at my mom's place in Caldas when it happened. But one of the great things is that ambulances are free, and they were actually quite quick. So my mother called the ambulance, and they only took like 10 minutes to arrive. It was like 1:30 in the morning. So
Was it? Wow,
yeah,
okay.
so it wasn't that heavy of a time, I imagine.
Yeah.
And I was taken to the hospital, which is also quite close by because I literally have view to the hospital from it's across the highway, but it's quite close.
Yeah.
And the hospital ride was quite horrible too because the vibrations probably make the stones move.
Ooh, yes.
But I survived, and I still remember one of the first things I said when I arrived in the hospital was like, "I'm so glad this didn't happen when I was in the US."
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Thankful. Then, I mean, obviously not for the situation itself, but for the prompt attention that you received. And has it been generally
But
speaking?
because all things considered, well, it sucks, but all things considered, the stars were quite aligned, and it was
Good.
rather the best case scenario on when it comes to the place and time to have that problem.
Yeah.
So
Right.
it's definitely great that you don't pay for an ambulance here in Portugal, and
Nope.
it did arrive quite quickly, which was quite nice.
Yeah.
And that I would say that the downside was like I arrived in the ER. I went to Hospital São João, and I arrived in the ER at like 1:40 or 1:50 in the morning, and I only left at like 8 a.m. So that part is a bit annoying because it kind of took forever. They only gave me pain medicine at like 4:30, 4 something a.m. So
Yikes.
it does take a while, and it wasn't even that full, to be honest. It was quite quiet.
Hmm.
So honestly, if I was thinking properly, I would probably have requested to go to the private hospital because I do have health insurance. But at those times you don't think. You just go whatever they take you.
Well, yeah. Can I ask you about that? Because you could have, if you had the presence of mind to do so, you could have asked the bomberos in emergency services to take you to a private
Yes.
hospital. Could you? Right. Okay. All right. So family members.
I think you actually have to request that when you call, and usually the private hospital always also have their own transportation service.
Okay.
But for example, I know my grandmother, she's being cared for at home, and when we have to take her to the hospital and so on, we usually we take her to the private hospital, and we book ahead, and it's a public service, so we don't
Right.
pay for the transportation.
No, that's another good thing here in Portugal, isn't it? And I'm just putting on the screen so that people can sort of etch this into their subconscious. The emergency number in Portugal is 112. That's the number you would have called, presumably 112. Is that right,
Yes.
Anna? Right. Okay. And at that point, I didn't know that you would specify to going to a private hospital or to the public system, but that's what people can bear in mind if they do have private health insurance. It's at that point where you ask to be taken to a private hospital if you prefer.
I would have preferred, mostly because the installations are a lot better. I spent the whole night in those waiting room chairs made of plastic that are extremely uncomfortable.
Hmm.
So that it's not exactly a nice experience, and the fact that it took like 4 hours for them to give 3 hours for them to give me pain medicine, it's also not very nice.
Yes.
But I know that if I went to the private hospital, the whole thing would have been quicker. And they did in the ER, they did an SEG, blood work, and X-ray. But in truth, they didn't really find out the cause at the time. So I left without knowing exactly what happened. And the pain medicine worked, so that part was fine. And then I spent the following week going to appointments trying to find out what happens. And eventually, a week after, I found out it was gallbladder stones, but it wasn't the first thing because I was also with an UTI. So the first thing that they thought it could be was that
Oh,
it
a
could have
complication.
been going up to the kidneys.
Oh my goodness.
But so I went to a bunch of appointments. I went to all in the private hospital. I went to the urologist that then sent me to get an SE, not an ultrasound. It's an ultrasound, the one you do with gel. We call it echographia. I don't know how we call it in
Yes,
English.
not an MRI, but yeah, an echograph.
Yes,
Yes, yeah.
echo. To the kidneys, and the kidneys were fine. And then I did more blood work, and the blood work showed that my kidney values were quite altered, and I had a high infection level. And after that, I went to an appointment in my local health center to get medical leave and keep looking for what it was. And on that one, they sent me to get an abdominal echo. And it was just on that one that I found out that I had the gallbladder stones. But overall, it's quite nice because I pay for my private insurance about 90 euros per month. It's going to go up to 108, which I don't like at all, but I definitely not canceling it.
No.
And the whole thing, it's quite nice because I spent like, I don't know, 40 euros in total until I got the diagnosis. Like I went, the appointments at the health center are free. Then I went to 2 private doctor appointments. I got blood work and 2 SEGs. And each one of these things cost me 18 euros.
Wow.
So
Okay. So yes.
overall, it's really, really quite affordable.
Yes, and of course it would have been a lot cheaper in America. Only kidding. I think that's why you're so glad, right? It didn't happen. In
Yeah,
the US.
because one of the things I already knew because it's one of the main complaints for my clients, but it's really mind-blowing that they pay anywhere between 400 and 2,000 dollars a month for health insurance. And
Yes.
then on top of that, whenever they would need to go to the hospital, it's an absurd amount of money anyway.
It sounds like, doesn't it, when you go to hospital in America, that you should actually be going in a limousine with cocktails and
Yes, I've been told that just the trip to the ER can be billed anywhere like 20K. That's just crazy. Like
I
10
don't want
to
a helicopter
20K.
for that.
That's so crazy.
Yeah, I want a private jet for that sort of money. Go a couple of things then. Going back to insurance, this is something that Nunu said last night, and he was talking about MGen and the way they're structured.
That's the one I have.
Yeah, if you stop paying or downgrade your payments, it's hard to go back. So it's best to continue.
Yeah, especially when because they have like the risk level of the client, and if you use it a lot, you are considered like not very profitable.
Yes, exactly.
So if you fail on something, they will completely cut you back. Thankfully, I never failed on anything because I'm definitely on the not profitable list.
I think all insurance companies do that sort of thing, and I think the point he was making about that was like, be careful if you're thinking of stopping, or if you downgrade.
Yeah, and I was actually
where you started
just last month because I got that renegotiation email saying they're going to increase the price from the 92 I'm paying to 108 per month.
Yeah.
So I was looking at alternatives and checking if there was something with a better rate. And there technically was. I would be saving about 300 euros per year. But if I made the switch, I would have a 6 months waiting period. And I decided against it. And I'm very glad because if I went through with it, I wouldn't be covered on this episode.
Right. And you do have to be very careful, like for like, don't you? I know a lot of foreigners come over. The bank says, we do health insurance. And sometimes it's not even really an insurance, like a discount card or something.
Yes, if it's called a health plan, it's not insurance. It's basically just a discount, and it doesn't cover anything.
Be careful with that, folks, because it's you want ease and convenience, but that can cost you in the long run. And Nunu's team are very helpful. Nunu will chat with you about what you're up against and compare the plans, and you'll see exactly what you'll be buying or not buying, as the case may be. And the other question I wanted to ask you, you usually are very frank with us, and you don't mind talking about your health issues. Is that a cultural thing? Are Portuguese people quite open about their health things? Because some cultures, people just wouldn't go there. Do you think is that generally speaking a Portuguese thing?
Yeah, I think Portuguese people are not too reserved on that, but are not exactly overly willing either.
Yeah.
I do find it important because it is a very relevant thing for people to look into
that's
here.
what I was going to talk about,
And also because I do find that a lot of my personal experiences could be important to other people, namely the endometriosis thing, like that one. Unlike this gallbladder issue that was fairly easy to resolve, I spent 5 years to get the diagnosis on that one.
Wow. Okay. On that note, João Ernesto is saying he's surprised about how much margarine and processed white bread is sold at our continent. Bimbo bread seems popular. It's probably the name, and pretty much the same as Wonder Bread in the US, which I have to say I don't mind from time to time. And the egg might be on my face here, talking nutrition, because the main function of the gallbladder is to store and concentrate bile, which is such a good word, also called gall, needed for the digestion of fats in food. So whilst we're promoting butter and olive oil, are we stressing our gallbladders possibly, Ana Caramujo?
Yeah, but the moment I'm on don't eat any fats diet, basically, and praying that the stones don't move before surgery.
Is then okay, so it will be surgery, and there's nothing that can be done in the meantime.
Yeah, because the gallbladder is pretty much an acid bag. And so if it opens, it would leak and cause even more problems. So they can't exactly remove stones from the inside. Okay. The only thing that can be done is remove the gallbladder itself.
Really?
And it's really better too, and especially in my case, because the stones are there's a few of them, but they are small, which means it's easier for them to move around. And if they went, for example, into the pancreas, it could be a really serious issue.
Okay, so you're going to be having surgery there. Question from William. Good morning to you, William. Great to see you. Bon dia, Carla Savicat. What price health insurance would you call gold standard monthly insurance payments? You've got to get a quote on your personal circumstances, haven't you? But you deal with enough people to give William a rough guide, possibly, Anna?
Yeah, I would say that it depends a lot on age. So that's, of course, one of the most significant factors. I am 34, and my insurance would be considered a very high-end one.
Yeah.
But there is a simulator on DECO. DECO is like the consumer right agency here in Portugal, and DECOproteste.pt. It's their website, and they have like a insurance simulator there where you can enter, your age and so on, and they will give you several prices of what different companies. And it can be a great way to check on the possibilities for you. And like I said, 100 euros per month, so at 34, it's a very high-end insurance. Mm-hmm. I would say most people on my age group are probably paying between 40 and 60, but they won't have such a high-end insurance.
There you go, William.
And the higher your age is, the higher the price will become.
That's right. And we can find out what health insurance costs are in Spain as well with Michael Heron. We've got Good Morning Iberia, where Good Morning Portugal and Good Morning Espana join forces for the first time live on air in about 20 minutes from now. So we better crack on.
I would be super curious to have feedback on how health works in Spain. I actually have a brother that lives in Spain, but he doesn't seem to have a lot of health issues, so I have no idea how well the health system works.
Don't say that, because we're about championing Portugal here, and already it sounds like he's doing a lap of honor of his living room there. I can see him behind the scenes. He's loving it already. Calm down, Michael. We'll see about the big Iberian battle later on. Right. So there you go. I hope that helps, William. To give you my comparison, at the moment, family of 5, we pay 80 with MGen. That's a lower plan. And when we lived with our virtual grandma, who was in her 80s, I think, elderly lady, plus us 5, and we had the top levels. I think that was like 270 a month for all of us. That was 6 people. So there you go. And give Nunu a call.
How are things in comparison for you between Britain and here?
Oh, British people don't buy health insurance, generally speaking. They might get it as a corporate benefit. They might now. I mean, when I lived there, I'd never bought ever health insurance, and the NHS.
But the public health system, I always heard it's fairly similar to Portugal in a way that it's also a bit overcrowded and things can be a bit slow.
True.
So
yeah,
I'm
and people would go
surprised that
private.
the private route isn't more widespread.
Yeah. Well, like similarly here, like Portuguese, I haven't got any health insurance, never had it. That was my attitude. That was my attitude.
I also didn't have any until I started having endometriosis issues at like 26. And then I was like, I am definitely getting health insurance.
Yes, it's often a scare, isn't it, that prompts it? Well, that's how insurance works, of course, isn't it? And we thought over here, I mean, and touch wood, thankfully, we don't use it. We don't use it. And I don't know if when with our first set of health insurance that we got from our bank, we may have had one claim because Mrs. M's, had a baby here in Portugal, and I'm not sure if we because she had one issue, turned out to be constipation, I think, back here. As we can remember fondly, but didn't call on it. But it was getting it because we were in a foreign country and scared, and we just thought it would be literally a useful insurance to have. But I totally understand your sentiment. And to answer your question, Anna, about the UK, never bought health insurance there. It is a sort of wealthier person's thing to bypass the public system and get a quicker appointment or operation and attention.
I guess it's the same thing here. I would say that a big part of the people don't have it, but as soon as you start having some health issues, you definitely start seeing the benefit of it. And since I have a history of chronic issues, I feel very, very much safer having it.
And he just tells us he's post-menopause as well. He's too old to get pregnant. So from that point of view, he won't be needing any insurance. And I don't think grumpy old geezer syndrome is covered by any health insurance. Aging grumpiness is not something that can be treated, as I understand it, whether you've got health insurance or not. Talking of well-being, let's go to Mel for a moment. If meditation is difficult, go look outside, sit under a tree. If possible, look up, trace the outline of every leaf, branch with your. I'm feeling more relaxed already. I'm halfway through this sentence. Great for your eye health, focus, and calm. Yeah, there is a growing sort of myth, I would say, about meditation, and people say, I can't. Mrs. M says this, I can't do it. And I think people get in a pickle before they even try, perhaps, and that's a great insight. Haha, see what I did there? From Mel, Simply Live Mel. Just go outside and look, just see what you can see. That to me is what meditation is all about, just observation. So thanks for that, Mel. And public health is amazing, says Hugh. If we need a quick consultation, we go private. Cost about 70 to 90 euros for a top person in Portugal. So very good. A little bit of a health and insurance.
Usually if you go private, the cost for appointment generally varies between 50 and 120 euros. And the 120 tend to be for the very high sought doctors.
Very good. Thanks for that. Didn't know we'd be talking about this necessarily this morning, but this is great. Very useful information. William satisfied, I think. Yeah, give Nunu a call. He'll walk you through it. I've not heard one person say, no, that's rubbish. Insurance and MGen, people are here just generally very satisfied with the service from Winsurance.
I personally think it's getting a bit expensive. Like I said, there is a new company now that has some slightly better rates. Like I said, it would be like 350 euros per year difference from the plan I have from MGN. Yep. But for me, it's not worth it to move because I would have that 6 months waiting period.
Yeah, you got to compare, haven't you? All the bullet points, I think, and yes, you lose your benefits as well if should you want to go back to MGen, as I understand it. Not grumpy at all. Excuse me, I'm a healthy young man. Well, it's all relative. I live in a central Portuguese village. Average age about 92. Whatever they're doing, do that. I did a meditation course recently to get into the habit. Well done. Sounds like you went to the monastery to get into the habit. Hey, I did training to be a nun. Oh, okay. Great minds think alike. Well done, Portuguese. Anything else you want to tell us? Here's your blog. Interesting things on there. That caught my eye. The Silver Coast of Portugal, a guide to the best towns. Who won on that, Savvy Cat Ana?
Well, it's a comparison between towns, but I would say when it comes to price quality, you were just talking about Lourinhã, and Lourinhã is a great option on price quality. But overall, that is based on the YouTube video I did comparing the 5 cities. It was 5 cities. It was Ericeira, Lourinhã, Nazaré, Peniche, and your town.
São Martinho de Porto.
São Martinho do Porto, yes.
Woohoo! Okay,
so it was talking about all that area and comparing the pros and cons between the different towns.
Well done, SMDP. Also, why food in Portugal is better than in the US. A deep dive into a quiche. Is that a quiche? Farm to table culture. Yes, we like a bit of that. And of course, my next question: why are Americans?
That was an interesting topic because for me as a Portuguese person, the whole farm to table, it's just such a normal thing that until I went to the US, I didn't even realize that it's not normal there.
It's interesting. It's just called food here, isn't it? Farm to table culture here in Portugal. Of course, big question at the moment: why are Americans making the move to Portugal? Presumably demand is way up. You've had so many more calls just recently. How's it all going?
It's still going. We generally get like 2 to 3 people booking calls every day.
Really? That's incredible, isn't it? So, and on the call last night with the town hall call, there was talk about people calling from Thailand because tax changes over there. People, it's not just the what's happening in the States. There's a sort of seismic shock going around the world and all sorts of turbulence, which is causing Portugal to have a newfound interest and demand. Are you finding that as well? Not just the US, but other countries as well?
I've been having, we've been getting interest from the UK, from South Africa, some from the Middle Eastern countries. We actually haven't had a lot of people booking from Asian countries.
Okay, all right. So you might expect that. Great for a field trip, though, right? I know you went to the States to find out more. Can you imagine if there's a lot of demand from the Far East? You're gonna have to go out to Bangkok or Phuket or somewhere like that, or Bali to do a bit of research. It can't be bad. And what do you make of your political system and your government at the moment, and the collapse and elections in May? Oh, I can tell by the look on your face, Ana.
It's just the typical Portuguese thing. I'm just like,
oh yeah.
I kind of don't even want to look at it right now because I just think it's shameful. I think they're just pointing fingers at each other and not even getting to any solutions or even trying to get any solutions. They're just pointing fingers at each other, and the whole drama with the service events of 4,000 euros per month, which I think this whole situation is absolutely ridiculous. I mean, sure, it wasn't clarified yet exactly what service that was and so on and so forth, which I do think it's silly. It should be clarified, and it definitely raises suspicion that it's not. But in the grand scheme of things, 4,000 euros per month compared to the ridiculous amount of money that are moved around with much shadier deals with private companies and so on, it's really a rather insignificant issue for all the media it's getting.
Yeah. And you'd think, wouldn't you, for that amount of money, it's not worth getting into trouble over. Perhaps it's power corrupts. Absolutely. I think
it's very much the finger pointing thing. They're just probably most of them have things under their belt that they want to hide, and they're just pointing fingers at each other to divert attention. And I think it's extremely unproductive. I mean, they could just focus on actually solving problems.
Well, that is their job, and you're an entrepreneur. In no other business could you be so ineffective and useless
Yes,
and still get
it
paid.
really frustrates me how ineffective politics are.
And is anyone or any of the Portuguese people talking about how the system can change? Because all that you're going to get, and we've seen this. I mean, that's the crazy thing about this situation. Weren't we here last year where Antonio Costa was facing a similar whiff of sort of indiscretion and difficulty, and his exit was like, well, okay, this is just becoming untenable, and it's an unnecessary distraction in Portuguese political life. I'll step aside anyway, and I'll call an election. And by the way, I'll go and get a really great job in the EU as well. And you can see him on your screens now. And it looks like the same thing is going to happen again. It's like, okay, well, I'll step aside then. We'll have another election. Is anyone in Portugal, as well as people like Hugh calling for a political party to come in and save us all? Is anyone saying we need a system change, or do they just keep
A
saying
lot
we
of people
need
are
a
saying that we
virtue
need a
change?
system change. The
Yeah.
problem is no one really know what system would work.
but we need to have that discussion, don't we? We really do. Spain might have some answers for us. Michael Heron, I suspect, when he, because that's the top story I want to talk to him about. We're going to share news stories about Spain, and we are in a somewhat difficult and boring, frankly, but terrible as well situation here politically in Portugal, with another election destined for May of this year. It's crazy. So shameful was the word you used, though, right?
Yeah, I think it's ridiculous and shameful because this whole ordeal only makes things worse for the country, and
Yeah.
it's over an absolutely minor issue.
Yeah, okay. But you suspect the minor issue is a cover for something else or a distraction?
I mean, like I said, there is a lot of much worse issues going around and much
Yeah.
bigger scandals. Like
Yes.
the top one. The top one is on a whole different level, and no one got fired over that. And now because of 4,000 euros for months, that we don't even know if it's a legit service or not yet.
Good heavens.
This whole thing, we're getting new elections. It's completely absurd.
Yes, okay. If you want to understand it further, they've done a great job this morning at Portugal Decoded on Substack. They decoded the graphics. If you're like me and you prefer pictures to words, you can. If you like an infographic, Portugal Decoded is the place to go to understand what's going on with the political crisis here in Portugal. Heroin on Michael Heron. I knew drugs were decriminalised in Portugal, but he's Michael Heron. Oh dear. Bob and Viv, Hugh Forestier Walker. If Hospital Particular is an option for private, they discount the 70 euros by 12 euros. Also, when presented with a continent card, that's worth having a continent card then in that particular situation.
That's an example of a health plan.
A health plan. Okay, very good. Thank you. Yes, Costa got a promotion, didn't he? There is the most occidental, there is in the most occidental part of Iberia, a very strange society. They don't rule themselves, nor do they allow others to rule them. Oh,
yeah, that was said by a Roman general when he tried to conquer Lusitania.
And are you suggesting, Sarah, we're still like that here? And I say
yes.
we. Right. So it's like govern us if you want or want to try, but we're ungovernable, basically. Is that
pretty much? It's like we don't rule ourselves nor let ourselves be ruled.
Okay, and at the risk of stirring the pot a little bit here, Hugh, it's corruption. I think that probably is meant to say big time, although bug time would work as well. With corruption bugs everywhere, like cockroaches, and you can't seem to be able to get rid of them. Corruption bug time. We need Musk, suggesting possibly that Musk might sort things out. He's busy, I think, at the moment. Is there a Portuguese Elon Musk, Anna?
Not as far as I'm aware.
Okay, all right. So no one's going to come in and doge this system up, are they, at any time soon?
I'm not sure if what Musk is doing is exactly getting the corruption undone. I mean, they completely dismantled the corruption agency, the public agency that was dedicated to investigating inside corruption. So hopefully they will make a new one, but right now it's just unclear exactly what they're doing.
The problem is, isn't it, when big, powerful people start looking for corruption, they do find it, but then they tend to create their own system Don't they? They're in position. To me, this is the problem with centralization, isn't it? These political forces seem to become more and more centralized and particular and focused and not fit for purpose, as we have observed before. I think we need a massive decentralization. I think we've got the technology for it. But anyway, that's perhaps too big a
Yes,
distinction.
the only thing is that decentralization makes it harder to manage, and you will need a lot more competent people in order to achieve that, and competent people are hard to find. So both
They're
systems
busy.
have problems.
Yes. No, agreed. I don't think it's ever going to be free of problems. It's the direction of travel, isn't it? I think that's quite important to observe, and the intention and the aspiration around this. I mean, we have got so cynical and accepting, I think, of what we're served up as the grandest and even most local public service. But as Mel said earlier on, yeah, we do need new systems, and we need to have conversations about those as well as moaning about it, which is what I've done mainly this morning.
Yeah, the problem with politics and governments is that they are such big systems that it's really, really hard to change them. I mean, I've thought about it, about going into politics,
Have
but it
you?
would be exhausting because it would be just, swimming against the tide. And if
Effluent.
you don't have support on the inside, you won't get anywhere.
Yes, yes. I think there's a lot of truth in what you're saying, and that's why good people perhaps don't go into politics. Anyway, let's not get too browbeaten or cynical about it. Maybe there will be a meta transformation, as I've alluded to earlier on. Anything else you want to share with us? We're coming up to the last 5 minutes of you joining us. Ana Caramujo of SavvyCatRealty.com, helping people move to Portugal. What else did you want to share with us this morning?
Yeah, I suppose that if you are considered coming to Portugal and are concerned about doing it in an ethical way, one of the main reasons that I created this company was exactly to get as much information on the expat buyer side so they can make informed decision and as much as possible avoid inflating the prices further. Of course, this is always a matter of supply and demand, but I believe the informed decisions make all the difference. And it's important to have a different perspective because when you come from an outside country, it's perfectly normal that you don't know the internal market.
Absolutely, absolutely. And how do you go about this, Anna? Presumably people can call you and have a consultation with you and see if they like the cut of your jib, as it were.
Yes, we are very transparent. That's always been one of the most important things for me. I've created this company based on my own values and sometimes at the expense of my own finances.
Right.
But you can go into our website and there is free calls that you can book with agents. You can also book a call with me. That one is paid, 123 euros for a 1-hour call. And we have all the information on the services and prices listed completely transparently on our website, as well as a lot of free information on our blog and YouTube channel.
Very good. Perhaps you can help me with this last comment here before we travel to Spain in just a moment, or connect with Spain. Manuel Ferreira is here. The big question, I had to do a quick translation on this, but he's talking about political games, I think, here, and something is going to be happening this year to change the international competition. What does he mean? Is there going to be some big political thing we don't know about here? Is that what you're suggesting, Manuel? What do you make of this?
Licença de exploração. I don't know if he's talking about, lithium and that kind of mining.
I thought so at first. Yes, exploration.
But I'm not sure. It's not very clear. I don't know if that is going to what is going to renew internationally this year. But that is definitely one of the driving economical factors that can have a lot of political influence.
Yes. Okay. Thank you for your help with that, Manuel. Do say more if you wish to. Paul Rees, good morning to you at Rural Properties. The judicial system is dysfunctional, which makes anti-corruption court cases fairly pointless. That's right. Good to expose it.
And here in Portugal is particularly bad. I think one of the things that would need to be restructured the most urgently here in Portugal would be the legal system.
Yes, it's a system without teeth, isn't it? Because I think people do.
Yes, it's very slow, very dysfunctional, and it's already. I've seen a survey And 80% of the Portuguese people don't believe in the Portuguese justice system. So that
Whoa.
tells you a lot.
Okay, I bet it's worse in Spain. We'll find out in just a moment. And yeah, the threat of legal action in Portugal is taken to a new level, isn't it? It's like, I'm going to take you to court. Fine, see you in 5 years. It's not really much of a threat,
Or 10,
is it?
yeah.
Or 10. That kicks it into the long grass for a little while, doesn't it?
I've literally, why we had an issue that one of my family plots was invaded by a construction happening to the next to it, and they just took over part of our plot.
Yikes.
It took, I think it was 12 years in court.
What? Oh my goodness. That's time you can't get back. Affordable healthcare is a must, but Musk et al. Don't even mention the subject. Yeah, they've not got around to that, Mr. S, have they? It's an issue that concerns all Americans. And what is this then from Manuel again? Relacionado.
It's about, apparently it's something related to that event that haven't been explained what it is for. Okay.
The Solverde payments. Yes. Okay. That he just didn't want any more questions. I've got a job to do here, says Luis Montenegro. Stop asking your questions, everybody. And now that's forcing an election in May. Great to talk to you. A far-ranging conversation. I wish you well. I'm sure we all do, the Gumpers here, with your surgery on the gallbladder. And thank you for telling us about your experience. They're very helpful and useful insights for the foreigners here. Bom fim de semana.
Bom fim de semana.
All right, thanks, Anna. I'll see you again next month. Ciao, ciao. Okay, there she goes. Salve, Cat Ana. And at 9 o'clock then, on the first Friday of every month now, we are going to be joining up to find out just how much better Portugal is than Spain. Let's give them a nice big round of applause. We're going by Iberia.
Good morning. Good morning, Portugal. Good morning, Spain. How's it going?
It's great, mate. Totally by this morning. By Iberian business, you and me. Connecting. Never, when we first met, did we imagine we'd be doing this, did we?
Well, we haven't done it properly because I haven't been able to connect to my YouTube channel today.
Is that so Portugal 1, Spain 0 already?
You're gonna have to, you're gonna have to clip this up for me, and I will do an intro as if it was a live show, and then people on the pre-record will think it's a real intro.
Oh,
and then, if we can do that, that'd be great. You'd be helping me out. No, it's because I haven't got the paid for subscription on StreamYard. That's why. And by the way, if my camera jumps, let me know and I'll reduce the resolution. So I have to be professional now, mate.
Listen to you reducing the resolution of your camera mid-show and all of that. I've got some software problems as well. Sadly, I can't share screens. I don't think anyone's seeing anything that I share at the moment. The software on one level got fancier, but I think they've messed up in a different department where it's hard to share things.
So it's not just me then, mate. It's not just me.
Oh no, Mercury will be in retrograde, or there'll be some sort of problem that we can blame, just like politicians do. It's not our fault, is it? But here we are. No. Good Morning Portugal and Good Morning Espana. How's it going so far?
Mate, it's going really well. What do you mean, the channel or life in general? What do you mean?
Well, both, of course. It's always good to catch up with you.
Yeah, well, it's been good. It's been good. I had a really interesting work project that I did last month, which was great. Well, that article that I sent to you, which we can talk about another time. Yeah. So that was really good. And Good Morning Espana is going well. I've done a few videos now. I've had about maybe 600 views in the last couple of weeks, so that's been really, really exciting. And I've got, I think, just over 30 subscribers now. So onwards and upwards.
Every single one counts. I'm approaching 3,000.
Absolutely. So yeah, no, it's been really good. Unfortunately, we've had terrible weather in Spain for the last week or so. Yeah, It's been non-stop rain and some flooding issues again. Not as bad as we had in Valencia last year, but it's looking a bit horrendous. Yeah, but other than that, everything's good, mate. Everything's really good.
I'm glad to hear that. Have I spelt this correctly?
You have. There's an accent on the I. There's an accent on the I. Yeah, and but other than that, it's good, mate. It's perfect.
And it's plural, is it? So is it good days, literally, as we say good day?
Literally, that's it. Very good. Yeah, very good. Very good. Yeah, absolutely. So yeah. Mate, I can teach you some Spanish on this is all there's lots of benefit. You don't care, do you? Mate, you do realize you're gonna lose viewers doing this with me. You know that, right? You know that.
We should see about that. Oh yeah, we have had a sudden plummet.
Exactly. There you go. See?
I don't think so. I think strength in numbers, solidarity, and like not hands across the ocean, but hands across the mountains, I suppose, and the rivers.
The Iberian Peninsula, mate.
Yeah,
absolutely. We're going to bring both countries together. We're going to show that the Spanish and Portuguese can be brothers in arms. That it doesn't have to all be about a little bit of, tasty confrontation and conflict. So we're here to bridge the gap. We're here to do what nobody has done before.
Good luck with that.
Yeah, exactly.
And perhaps you can characterize how the Spanish feel about the Portuguese. From what I know,
how the English feel about the Scottish, mate. It's the same dynamic.
Okay. That way round.
Indifferent. Love the Portuguese, but feel indifferent. Whereas the Portuguese, I think, God, I'm already offending everyone now. Jesus, I haven't barely started.
Good start.
Yeah, let's just go for it. No, I think, look, now that I'm on this side of the table, I am going to tell you exactly what I think about the situation. Okay, we're going to get straight into it. So I think with
there's a quick comment before you start. Portuguese, well, a Brit expat in Portugal, pleased to see you. Where's your ponytail and flick knife?
Yeah, spell Michael correctly, mate, before you start having a go, yeah? Boomba! No, listen, I think we should get, how does one become a tío de Madrid?
Oh, so many questions. This is great. No, before you...
But this is related to one of my videos, huh? So this is good. See, I've got people here. Excellent.
Your people.
No,
well, yeah, Mr. S, though, he's fallen out of love with Portugal, and it's all about Spain. Just go, Mr. S.
Come out with me, mate. You'll be a tío de Madrid forever. No, but well, I'll just say it quickly. I think the main issue is language. I mean, look, my Spanish brothers and sisters, they're not the most talented when it comes to speaking other languages, as we are in the UK as well. The French and the Germans as well. So I think with the Portuguese, because they're so talented at languages, when it comes to Spain, they get frustrated that the Spanish can't speak Portuguese. And I think that's unfortunate. Although from my experience of moving to Portugal from Spain, it was very difficult to learn Portuguese, as we've discussed many a time. And then, you've got two countries that couldn't be more different culturally. And that's something I think that we will go into, that I'd love to sort of explore. And just something as basic as meal times. Lunchtime in Portugal is from midday to 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Most people have lunch at 1. In Spain, it's from 2 till 4. Right, and on Saturday, some people could have lunch at 3. Yeah, you don't care. Look at you.
Whatever. I'm looking. Anna's still with us. She's nodding behind the scenes. She agrees with your analysis so far.
Oh, fair enough.
Okay. And Spanish is easy. Just add a letter to most Portuguese words, usually an I.
Well, the thing is, if you learn Portuguese first, it's easier to learn Spanish.
Right.
So that's the order you want to do it in.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, we won't go into politics, mate. We won't go into politics. No, we will go into politics. We will go.
Okay, all right.
Can I do the fake intro that you can then clip up for me?
Yeah, go on. Yeah.
Yeah. Can you give me
what do you need for that? Do you want me off the screen?
No, I don't want you off the screen. I don't want you off the screen. I want you on the screen with me. Okay. Actually, yeah, maybe. Do you want to
all right. It's all yours. There you
go. Okay. All right. 3, 2, 1. Good morning. What a bastard.
Oh yeah, great start.
Okay. Yeah, thank you, mate. 1. Okay. Good morning, Espana. If you are watching this live stream on pre-record, this is total rubbish because I didn't manage to get my technology up and running, so I'm having to share on Carl Munson's Good Morning Portugal. So Carl, feel free to come back now. Welcome, Carl.
Oh, it's so great to be here. Thank you for
joining me, mate. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great. Let's talk about the differences between Spain.
How's the weather in Portugal? Okay, that's it. Enough.
Terrible. I mean, and that is another good topic: politics and weather. I think we need something light to end on. Perhaps we can get suggestions from our respective communities about that. And we do like a bit of the banter about how Portugal is obviously better than Spain. So pop those sorts of comments into the chat as well. And we've got questions.
You've just taken this as an opportunity to get your digs in first, haven't you? I've been completely stitched up.
However,
yes,
we're rounding on you now as we speak. But there is something very interesting, and this could backfire because you've talked a little bit there about how the Spanish feel about Portugal. Indifferent, you might say. It's like, just like we don't need to bother. However, I think it's different, obviously, with the Portuguese view of Spain. And there is a saying in the culture, isn't there? Only bad winds and bad marriages.
Yeah, no bad wind or no good wind or marriage came from Spain. There's
right.
Ni bon vento ni bon casamento.
Well done. Yes. Now, based on the history of
which,
poor relationships.
The wind I can understand because you got the Atlantic, right? So you can't compete with that. The marriage thing, I mean, I have to disagree. I think Spanish women are great. So there you go.
Yeah, but the royal family didn't agree with you on that, I suspect, which is where that comes from, right?
Yeah. Well, they had a big war and it didn't end well. But
yes. Perhaps a little bit of an understatement there. But yes, okay. So that's that. We might add a third thing with our work here. It's like the terrible wind. No one likes terrible wind, obviously. Bad marriages and gobby foreigners trying to unite us. Do you think this might be a fool's errand, that the pair of us as foreigners, as expats, as immigrants into the respective cultures of Portugal and Spain, trying to reunite people is not our business?
I think we're always gonna have the perspective of the foreigner. So even though you've been in Portugal now, what, 8 years? 7 years?
7 years, yeah.
7. I was there 10. I'm now in Spain again. I've been in Spain before. We're always going to be outsiders, no matter how long we live here for.
Yes,
and that's not a bad thing, I don't think.
Fair enough.
Yeah, it's not a bad thing. But I think that gives us a unique perspective of being able to sort of look at it through a different lens, objectively. And I think it would be the same for anyone Spanish or Portuguese who's lived abroad and then come back.
Agreed. Yes,
meet people who have lived abroad, and it doesn't mean that you're more intelligent or more knowledgeable by having lived or worked or studied abroad. But I think there is a difference.
You get a perspective, don't you?
Yeah, exactly. And you do get a different perspective. So I think we're going to add a caveat that we're by no means experts, and we by no means can speak on behalf of the Portuguese or the Spanish. We can speak on behalf of two crazy Brits who have been living abroad for a long time and have a pan-Iberian perspective. And
we'll make way, won't we? We'll like we're in the House of Commons. We'll make way for any Spanish or Portuguese speakers, commentators who wish to add something.
And we'll offend plenty of people along the way, but we're happy to take those casualties. It's all good, man.
Bad royal weddings. There you go.
Exactly.
That's part of it. And yes, comments like Spanish is like a free gift that comes with Portuguese as well.
Oh, loving that.
I've never seen it marketed like that, but we like that as well. And your guide there, Spanish is easy. That's someone who's got the wounds and scars of learning Portuguese speaking there. Just add a letter to most.
Yeah, or you take the ow off at the end of the Portuguese word and add an o.
Okay, very good. This is really, really useful stuff.
I'm sure it is. Yeah, lies.
I was watching that.
Mate, I know you so well. I know when you're chatting shit. You can't even say it properly with a straight face. Look at you. I'm just going to basically destroy your live stream so that you can't get monetized. That's going to be my aim.
Thank you very much. No,
you're welcome.
Many have tried. We would, I was working with Frank last night and the Portuguese. We're very capable of destroying our own monetization. Thank you very much.
This is something that maybe people from outside the UK won't appreciate. Carl is being so nice to me and so wonderful to me, yet the humor is to be ungrateful, isn't it? It wouldn't be funny if I wasn't being ungrateful, but I obviously am grateful to my brother Carl for helping me out.
If you say so, right?
Yeah. We'll see.
Iberianism, I think that's something we have coined here, and we can take some credit for being Iberian and enjoying both sides of the. What is the divide? Is there a defining mountain range or a river? I guess it varies.
No,
doesn't
it's just a line. But I've been reading a lot about country borders, and it's a very recent thing. It's only like 300 years ago we've existed. So you can imagine that just all of a sudden a king or a ruler just decides, right, this is where Spain and Portugal are going to be divided, and it looks like they just sort of did the line, fuck it, just like that. There we go.
Language, Timothy.
But it's fascinating, mate, because if you go to Porto, and we'll talk about a story from La Coruña, which is one of the cities closest to Vigo, closest to the north of Portugal. There seems to be less tension between Iberians because Porto's closer to the border, whereas the Lisboeta, because it's further away, more insular, I think there's a different experience of the Spaniard, shall we say? Ano in Spanish doesn't mean year. It means something else.
And
Yeah.
a happy one of those is probably not
My grandfather used to joke about that, so you're not the first to joke about that, mate.
Okay. But we like more of that. We'll have more of that, just in
Yeah.
case you do need it when you cross the border. I like Spain. Yeah, this is interesting. People you will see Portugal as a great jumping off point, having moved here for the rest of Europe, and of course you can just pop across to Spain. I haven't. I came through Spain 7 years ago when we drove from UK. We drove through Spain, and it was characterized by to me, the things I remember about Spain are people being less friendly and a couple having a really animated fight in a park, like a tiff, a relationship difficulty. And there we were sat in our camper van, and this Spanish man and woman were going at it, like having a disagreement. And as I probably have later discovered, they were probably just discussing what they were going to buy from the supermarket on the way home. But it looked like a full-on.
Yeah. Like it's like in the south of Spain, the Spanish are really loud, right? And I'll never forget, I was about to go into
Only
a bar
in the south,
huh?
Only in the south, or more loud.
Louder. I said louder.
Yeah.
They're still loud. Yeah. Look at him; he's already getting all. I love it. This is great. Drink your water, mate. Calm down. I was about to walk into a bar for breakfast. As I opened the door, I thought the noise coming out of there, I thought there's got to be about 20 people in here. What's going on? It was just one customer and the waiter. That was it. Yeah. But it's something the Portuguese complain about. They're like, oh, the Spanish are really loud, really noisy. Yeah, but they're passionate, they're fun, they're friendly. It's just a different. My friends often say to me, like, if they hear me speaking in Spanish, especially over the phone, they're like, you're shouting. Why are you shouting? It's just for some reason that the Spanish language, it just creates an added number of decibels. It's just the way it goes.
Excellent insight, Pam. I like Spain and plan to explore it more. My first experience of holidays.
Pamela, you're more than welcome. Come along. And don't forget to subscribe to Good Morning Espana, okay?
Nicely done. But we have to address this. Many people from the UK, their experience of Spain is the Spanish holiday, the package holiday. Now, how far from the truth of Spain could that be? I mean, I went with my parents, I think, to Mallorca when I was, I don't know, 5 or 6. And, the kind of the great big white hotel on the Costa, whatever that is. And I've been back since, and I really enjoyed it. I went to Nerja. These are very touristy things. And Spain is far more diverse than the British holiday experience, isn't it?
Yeah, well, it goes back to Franco actually. So
okay.
Yeah. So when
are we going to play dictator top trumps as well at some point?
Definitely, let's do it. Okay. Let's see who's got the best dictator. So Spain and Portugal, that is one thing that they have in common, is that they both had 2 fascist dictators. Yeah, I do shout as well in English as well. That do things proper. So I think Salazar died 1 year before Franco. But anyway, Franco, when World War II finished, and obviously the Cold War started, and there was this big divide between communism and capitalism, Franco sided with the US, got payments to help boom the tourist industry in Spain in the 50s. So that's basically Franco was a controversial figure, shall we say. But that was probably one of the only good things that he did, actually, was create that tourism industry. Then all the repression and violence and horrible stuff he did doesn't make up for it, unfortunately. But that is something that's quite interesting about Spain, and you really see that infrastructure to this day. Tourism is one of the biggest industries in Spain, but it doesn't rely on it as much as Portugal for its economy.
Did you just say then? Sorry, I was a bit distracted by the comments, but it was American influenced or funded tourism.
Yeah. Well, it was basically whoever the president was at the time, sort of, because Spain were anti-communist, then they were given help. So it's kind of like quid quo pro, right? Okay. And that's something that's quite openly discussed.
That's very interesting. Very interesting. I'm not sure I disapprove of Iberianism. I'm not judgmental like that, but I do have a preference for Portugal. I think, maybe a preference rather than a judgment. I hope, Mr. S. And João Ernesto, there is a line on the northern border. We prefer these natural, Mother Nature to decide rather than dictators and politicians and royals deciding these things. A natural border like that, I think, can work far better. This is interesting as well. Camões, never separated the Iberian Peninsula into two countries. And I was discovering the other day that what we've been taught as history, you know, the Greeks and the Romans, the Greeks never saw themselves as Greeks either. These are all things we've inherited and picked up and run with. And it's fascinating to hear that the great Camões, the Portuguese poet, just talked about Iberia, perhaps more than Portugal or Spain, if Mr. S is correct there. So you have to be careful, don't we, with what we pick up and run with, and what we kind of affirm and judge.
Careful, mate. Careful, mate. Yeah, it's true. And you know, it's this almost this arrogance, isn't there, that things that we've invented haven't been invented before or haven't been done in a certain way. You know, I think and human history demonstrates that we keep on repeating the same mistakes over and over again. Yeah.
What a great warning or caveat to make right now.
Yeah, lovely for a Friday morning, right?
Nation states. Yeah, but it is worth remembering, isn't it, that so much of this is just made up. Yeah. And you know, is it serving us anymore that we might?
And if I can just say this, for any expat, or I hate the word expat, for anybody thinking about moving abroad, right?
There's another debate to have then.
Yeah. We'll do that as well. Anyone thinking about moving abroad, I'll say ano. There you go. So think about anyone who wants to move abroad. The perfect country does not exist, right?
Yeah, right.
So Portugal has its weather, it has its beaches, it has its food, it has its people, you know, loads of amazing things. And then Spain has, you know, other things. Perhaps Madrid is a more sophisticated city than Lisbon. It's bigger. You've got more things to do. The Spanish economy is bigger. There's more work opportunities, but the weather is not as good as Portugal, in my opinion, because it gets very hot in the summer and can get very cold in the winter. So you'll never find the perfect place, but it's more about you and your willingness to adapt and what you prefer. Some people will prefer Portugal. Some people will prefer Spain. I could happily live in either country, even though I've just come back to Spain, and I genuinely mean that. But right now, I just want to focus on the good things about Spain, because if I try and replicate anything about my lifestyle in Portugal, it won't work. You know, I'm not going to go and buy bacalhau. I'm not going to go and buy bacalhau from the supermarket because it won't be as good as in Portugal, you know?
Very good. And you remain a great influence. And when we first met, and do you remember I was a dog at your
I remember, yeah, in the Herdade da Aroeira, wasn't it?
It was amazing, and you set a bar for me at that point of like, that's how I want to be in Portugal. I want to be able to order my lunch in Portuguese, and now I can. So and I think of you in those moments as well. When I'm meeting people who are new to Portugal, and I talk to you know, the staff in a cafe or a restaurant, and they look at me and go, "Wow, you're fluent," and I am so not. But I've got to that level that you demonstrated. And I just thought you were like, you know, Einstein sat with me.
Oh wow! Well, I'm proud of you, mate. It was the same for me when I got to Portugal. I remember there was a French guy who I was having dinner with, and he ordered perfectly, and I was like, wow.
Yes, isn't that great?
It is, and as you discovered, it's a really achievable level to get to in a language, and it makes you feel so comfortable and like, you know, that you've achieved something really good. Because, you know, to go into a restaurant, you know, it takes a big pair of balls to go into a restaurant, to order in another language, to have a conversation with the waiter, order the bit, you know, not get robbed, not do anything wrong, and leave intact. Not done. You know, it's not easy. It's not.
I make jokes now. I make jokes, and one of my favorite at the moment is Imperial, faz favor. So that's my beer, and then I'll say con gás. And it's like, what? You want gas? Oh, yeah, very good. And hopefully they don't come back with an even more sophisticated joke, because that's where it might break down. But that's not A1 or A2 or B1 or B2. What would we call that level of? It's cafe Portuguese, I suppose, isn't it? And it's a great level to aspire to, as you've said there. Right. How do you become a Tio de Madrid? We've got our tias of Cascais, haven't we? The ladies want lunch and are a bit posh in Cascais. There's a similar thing in Madrid, is there?
Well, I think Mr. S is referring to a video I did on Good Morning Espana. By the way, just to remind you all, Good Morning Espana. Don't forget to like and subscribe. God, I've turned
You're allowed one of those every
one. Sorry. Anyway, back on topic. Back on topic. So I did a video where I spoke about 5 things that I love about Madrid, and the last one was the Spanish. And I had my friend Edu on there, and I just said, say something in Spanish, and he said "Que pasa, tío," which means literally hello uncle, but in the south of Spain and in Madrid as well, tío is like mate. So it's a bit strange to a foreigner, because you hear the word tío and it means uncle, but it also means mate. So you say like que pasa, tío? Like, how's it going, mate? Even though the word tío means uncle. So that's where that comes from. But I've never heard the expression tío from Madrid before. In Madrid, the Madrileños, so someone from Madrid is called a Madrileño, they will say, instead of tío, they will say tronco, like que pasa tronco. And a tronco is literally like like a branch, right? So it sounds weird to say hello branch, but they will say tronco. Yeah, they will say tronco instead of.
Was that like saying hello, Chunky? In
yeah, good point, mate. Yeah, that's true actually. Yeah,
right,
there
Chunky.
you go. See?
Yeah,
Right,
I love
Chunky.
that greeting, but it upsets people these days when you call them Chunky. Never used to. People are so
it's like
touchy.
the gingers, isn't it? It's the last demographic we can take the piss out of.
Well, there's a can of worms. I would like to go to Madrid, says Pam. There's a Joana Vasconcelos exhibition on there at the moment, of course.
Oh, Pamela's taking the piss. So you're going to go from Portugal to Spain to go and see a Portuguese exhibition? No, I'm not having any of that. Get out. That's
like
out
asking
now.
for fish and chips, isn't it? That is like asking for HP sauce or Marmite.
Shocking.
Very good.
Shocking.
I see what you did there. And thank you for decoding that for me, Michael, as well. What are you going... What day are you going to the beer festival? I won't be there. I got a busy weekend at home, but I would love to be there. What's beer drinking like? I don't know about that in Spain. I know a lot of Brits like to drink, the big canecas of lager.
Yeah.
Is there a real ale culture as well, like we've got here in Portugal?
There is. I mean, you've got your standard beers, like obviously Portugal's a bit different because it's really Superboc and Sagres, right? So here it's quite regional. So in Madrid, it's Mau. It's Mau, and you'll ask for a caña, which is a bit like an Imperial, or a doble, which is basically a double Imperial.
Doble.
So it'd be like a caneca, right? Yeah. And then, but in the south of Spain, it's Cruz Campo. That's the kind of beer of choice. If you go to Barcelona, it's sort of Estrella Damm. So there's like different regional.
Like that.
And then San Miguel is kind of like, which is, by the way, San Miguel is the most exported beer in the world. Did you know that? That's a Spanish beer, yeah. And that's kind of the more generic one. But there's a lot of beers here. There's a lot of craft beers as well. And to be honest, mate, a lot of good Guinness as well. So I've forgotten how much I like Guinness. Yeah. And I've been to a couple of, I found a pub the other day, €5 for a pint of Guinness, which I thought was
that's cheaper than, it's $6 normally in Portugal.
Yeah. That was very good. So I mean, Madrid is more expensive than Lisbon in terms of cost of living, but you can find cheap places because of the size of the city, right?
Scale brings that, doesn't it? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Okay, so Gary, won't see you there. Hope you have a great time at that. Lots of lovely comments. Thank you, everybody. I think we can say this has been a success. A few more minutes to go. I'm planning we finish at 9:30, Michael. But I mean, in the future, when you start getting the big bucks coming in, you'll obviously want to go for a whole hour.
Mate, whatever. Yeah, this is perfect. This is absolutely perfect as a start. This is great. And then I'll make sure I'll pay for StreamYard so that we can do it. We can do multiple streaming. But for now, this is awesome because I can. If you kindly clip this up for me, then I can post it on my channel, and I'll share your channel to my minimal number.
That's the only reason I'm doing this is because I want your big Spanish audience to subscribe,
mate.
As well.
Quid, there's got to be a benefit for you as well. Otherwise, there would be no point in doing this, would there?
Yes. Okay, Mark's here as well.
Yes, he says. Yes, he says.
No. Thank you. Thank you is what I meant to say. Thank you.
Yeah.
Also, a significant portion of the northwest borders of the Rio Douro. At this juncture, it is narrow and unnavigable. Okay. So another way nature is helping out there. Manuel is still with us. How the marriage of the widowed and traitorous Queen of Portugal, who married the King of Castile, and we lost.
Sorry to interrupt you. Does your audience see me as a traitor now? Because I do feel a little bit like when Luis Figo went from Barcelona to Real Madrid. It does feel a little bit like that.
Yeah. You should feel that shame, leaving us the way that you did. I hate the word expat too, Tío de Madrid, matey boy of Madrid there. Mr. S, I think you hate what you made it mean or what you think others make it mean. I use it quite freely and without...
No, I know what he means though, right? Because it implies a social class, whereas immigrant is kind of more generic.
But does it imply or does it infer? If we are triggered immediately by, it's a class thing.
The problem is, though, right? If you say immigrant, people see a certain thing. If you say expat, people see a certain thing. Even if
Yeah.
you say foreigner, there isn't really an inclusive word for that. Maybe we should come up with one.
And when you say, "Man, I'm just a human being," people think, "Oh God, you
Yeah,
stupid hippie."
wanker. That's what people think. Wanker. Yeah.
Oh,
By the
dear.
way, Mr. S, you are correct, and also from Iceland as well. But I think because there's more importation to Portugal, you're going to get better quality bacalhau in Portugal than in Spain, and probably
There you
cheaper
go.
as well. Gary, I would love to meet you too as well, mate. We've spoken a lot on
All right,
man
get a
cave.
room. Get a room,
Look,
Gary
he's jealous
and
already.
Michael.
He's jealous.
Did you know? I'd love to meet you. Did you know modern Spanish is what was formerly Castilian, the dialect which was spoken in the. What about me, Gary? Was spoken in the Kingdom of Castile and Leon. Thank you, Johannes. We're loving this. Keep these facts coming. Nearby,
Yeah, as long as they're about Portugal, right?
all the way. It's the province of Galicia, and Galician language is essentially a variation of Portuguese. Thank you, João Ernesto. Michael from Mark. Congrats. See, this
Mark,
is bringing,
great to see you, mate. Great to see
you
you.
are bringing boys to the yard. It has to be said. I haven't seen Mark for a while.
There you
You
go,
flushed
see?
him out.
He knows good content when he sees it, huh?
I asked for a sniff with my coffee the other day. Very good. Your cafe con cheirinho. For a joke, we say olive oil. Unfortunately, the waiter hadn't heard the expression and put jalapeño in our coffees. Don't know why jalapeño. That'll teach you for larking about in the cafe. Very good. It's perfect. Perfect for me being Iberian. I think we're going to bring that into.
Oh, Iberian, that's great. Let's use that. I'm writing that down right now.
We should put. No, I've been using it for ages, but you're welcome. I think.
Yeah, right. You just
I have. We need.
Have you really?
Yes, but honestly, we were helping people come out as Iberian a couple of years ago.
Oh, fantastic!
Yeah.
So this
could be. I want to see it in the Urban Dictionary. I don't know if I tried or not to pop it in the Urban Dictionary.
So would this be a bit like somebody not being able to decide whether they're straight or gay, and we can decide which side is straight or gay?
Yeah, definitely. They're bi or sort of Iberian.
You're Iberian. You haven't decided if you prefer Portugal or Spain yet, or you like equally Spain and Portugal, right? That sounds more politically correct.
Two meanings. So, you know, on the approach, it's like I don't know if I like Portugal or Spain more. So, you know, but that's Iberian curious, I suppose. And then when you when you finally come out, you say that I'm not going to decide. I'm not binary. I am binary. I mean, I'm not. Stop.
I can't handle this.
You're going to chop those quotes out of me saying I am binary, aren't you?
No, I'd never do that to you, mate. I would never stitch you up. Come on, I'd never do that.
Just only if there was a laugh involved in it. But it's embracing being Iberian is like enough with this bad winds and marriages and the indifference. We are one Iberian continent together, and that's Iberian.
So can I officially announce? Can I come out of the closet and say that I am Iberian? Can I say that now?
Yeah. Could you say it again? And I'll definitely make a clip of it. All right. Okay. So do you want to get?
I'd like to announce to everyone, I've finally come out of the closet. I am officially Iberian.
I'm just looking for a bit more emotion.
Okay, I'll do it again.
Let's do a massive run up and let's have an awkward silence, and then you say to me something like, "Carl, there's been something that I've been wanting to share with you."
Okay, let's do that. Okay, all right, count me in.
Okay, and actually, I'll take you off the screen for this. Oh no, I'll take myself.
No.
Okay, hold on a minute. Right, we welcome Michael Heron now with actually a very special announcement. A strange phone call for him, and he said he just needed to talk to me about something. So I'm not going to do a round of applause because it sounded a little bit serious. Michael, how are you doing today? Let's both be on the screen together here for this announcement. Hold on a minute. Oh yeah, there you go, Michael. Sorry about that.
No, that's okay. Yeah, well, there's something that's been on my mind for ages,
right?
And it was.
You're safe to speak here, right? See this as a safe space.
I appreciate that. Yeah, it's been really hard because I don't know quite how to say it, but I'm really appreciating you giving me the platform so I can just come out and say it. I'm officially coming out of the closet. Okay, so I am Iberian.
Oh, mate, do you know I had my suspicions, but I'm really glad I'm really glad you saw this as a space in which you could be yourself.
Absolutely. And amongst my Portuguese cousins, you know,
of all the places you could have done, as you can tell, I'm quite overcome myself now. And I don't want to steal your moment by coming out myself as well.
I'm just so grateful for the safe space that you've given me because it wasn't easy.
Fair enough. And a lovely round. There you go, mate.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
That's gonna make. And so, if you're Iberian, is that like 2 kisses, 4 kisses? How do you make that clear?
Mate, it's as many kisses as you want. It's as many as you want.
Right. Okay. Well, thank you.
It could take half an hour to greet 3 people, couldn't it?
And then leaving is impossible, isn't it?
Yeah, leaving is impossible.
Allow 5
Well, do you know,
hours.
I've actually got a story about that. I've got a story about leaving, if I can quickly say that. So in Spain, in the south, in Sevilla, my friends used to call me bomba de humo, which means smoke bomb, because I would leave without saying goodbye to anyone, because I couldn't be asked. We're saying goodbye to 10, 50 people, and like everyone saying, "Oh, don't leave." So I would just disappear. They'd say bomba de humo. Yeah.
Smoke bomb. Wow. And that went down badly, presumably. You're meant to.
People embraced it. People embraced it. And then it became a thing. Good. It became a thing where I would do it on purpose to make people laugh, because they'd be like, "Where's Michael gone?" Oh yeah. I'd message them after to say I'd left, so people wouldn't worry. Not that anyone would care, but
Yes, the smoke bomb's gone, everybody. I see it as a bit of banter, like we have back in the UK with the Welsh and the Scottish. I think that's fair, isn't it, as well? And it's probably typical all around the world, isn't it, with borders of this kind? Some more fruity than others, I'm guessing.
Totally.
Bon dia todos, cue the puns. Well done, Ubi. Oh, excuse me. Oh, that must have been a little.
By the way, anyone who joined that live stream in that moment, that would have been classic, huh?
Well, don't worry, they're going to see it as a clip at some point. And I'm going to set it up with some real,
As long as you send me a good provocative thumbnail, so I can get more views on my channel, then I'm happy to do it.
No, what coming out as Iberian? No, that would be a great clickbait.
No, just coming out.
Dot. Yeah, okay. And you with your.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. See,
We've got this, and I can say in the last few moments then of this first, and I think successful connection between, and we've set an example here, haven't we, of how the 2 sides of the peninsula can get on beautifully together.
And more importantly, don't forget to like and subscribe to Good Morning Espana, which is spelled without the Enya, just an N. Okay, so don't forget to do that.
What?
Thank you very much.
Is it called an Enya?
Enya, it's the soft N, yeah. So it's nya. So it's not Espana, it's España. In Portuguese, you get the same sound with an H after the N.
Yes.
But in Spanish, it's the Enya. Unfortunately, it doesn't let you. The URL doesn't let you use an Enya, so I had to use it with an N by itself.
Every time you say that, though, all I can hear in my head is sail away, sail away, sail away. Anyway, we have created.
You say it with a Portuguese accent. You say España, and I was like, nah, I'm not having that. I'm not having that. España.
Okay, all right.
There we go. Good man.
I'm going to keep doing it though. And fair to say, we have created a very welcoming atmosphere. You came out as Iberian, and now Ubi's coming out as a lesbian.
Oh, fantastic! I love that.
Wonderful. Cue the puns, as he said. They're good for you. Good for you, Ubi. I'm loving this. Good for you, mate. I left a party without saying goodbye, and they would just call me a miserable so-and-so. This is why I like Spain. And Ubi, that's good. If you love Lisboa, then you are. We're assuming that's what he means.
Gary's already packing his bags. Look, Gary's already packing his bags. He's seen the light. Come to Spain, mate. We'll embrace you, man. We'll embrace you. We'll look after you.
I'd love to meet you in person. The signs were always there, weren't they?
Yeah. He was just waiting for his moment. He was waiting for his excuse. He was waiting for his excuse.
He's on his way from Alfagre in Portugal to a similarly named town, I hope, on the outskirts of Madrid. God only knows what it would be called. Excellent job, Mr. Heron. And we'll see you again.
On a serious level, I do appreciate you having me come on. But once again, don't forget, like and subscribe. Good Morning Espana. That's where the real stories, that's where the real juice is. That's where the real action is. Much more fun, much better. Come over, guys.
I've got the controls here. Portugal is so much better than Spain.
You could ensure that this never sees the light of day ever again. You could literally
I'm burying this straight after the show. Ciao, ciao, everybody. Bon fin de semana. What is that in Spanish, Michael?
Buenas tardes, buenos días, buen fin de semana. Hasta luego, gente. Ciao.
Typically complicated and loud. Ciao, ciao.
In Portugal, there's a YouTube show full of fun facts you need